I'd like to welcome y'all back to another episode of the Unframe of Mind show. Today, it's been a little bit of struggle, but we finally got her on. We love to battle back and forth with technical issues, but in this case, I think we finally got it figured out. So I'd like to welcome to the show my friend Vanessa, who has agreed to come on the show and tell her story and give us a little bit of insight into who she is and how she became to be the young lady that she is. And so Miss Vanessa here has agreed to come on the show and tell us her story. Very similar to the episode we had a couple weeks ago with Anthony Trawick, where he got on and explained kind of what his life's been like and how he has come to the place where he's at. So I guess we'll just jump right in and see where this little journey takes us, because it's fair to say we're friends on social media and stuff, and you've been on my show a few times, and you've even been inspired to start your own show, but I don't think we really know each other that well just yet. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
So welcome to the show, Miss Vanessa.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
hello, everyone.
I appreciate your patience in this whole ordeal. Technology is so much fun, isn't it?
I'm so nervous. It freaks me out.
So what, let me start there then. What is it about this whole thing that's freaking you out? Like,
I'm so shy. Like, I know, on Twitter I'm kind of mouthy. And I am, like, for the most part, but as far as like talking about myself or what have you.
So the Twitter facade is kind of a defense mechanism of sorts.
No. Kind of, but not really. It's just the whole, like, talking about myself. I don't like, I mean, everyone has those moments where, those teachable moments where, like, you see like a little injured little bird that you want to help, like your friend, and like, well, I've been through that, and so you
right.
Let them in on your life a little bit. So I could do that, but doing it on like a mass, it's a little different.
I can definitely understand that. We'll try to make it as smooth as possible anyway. But I suppose a couple things I do know about you so far is that when I do hear you talk about stuff, you tend to kind of minimize, as if, and I get this with a lot of people I speak with, is they tend to minimize what's happened to them, as if well, anything I've been through is not nearly as bad as what some people have been through, but they're still your experiences. So I was just throwing that out there. So don't be afraid to, if you're actually feeling something about something, don't be afraid to feel it. It's all good. At any rate, so you want to start with maybe we can talk about what is it, why did you agree to do this? What is it you're hoping to get out of this exactly?
I just want to relate to people, because right now everybody seems, not everybody, but there's a division, and it's a manufactured division, and a lot of people they've lost the ability to understand that we're all one race, we're all human. We don't know what we're doing. I mean, we're all just taking a stab at it, the good old college try. And we make mistakes and stuff. I've made plenty. And I'm just hoping that to relate to people in hopes to help them. I mean, I do that not to pat myself on the back or anything, but like a lot of people do come to me because of the crap that I've been through, and because I did go through the trenches for a large period of my life. And
wait, you're meaning to tell me that you're not absolutely perfect? No way. Like I've never thought that. I just assumed you were perfect just because you were you. So yeah, that's fantastic though. And I think you make a good point. We're all out here trying to live our lives, and it is interesting when you're getting these divisive conversations with people. They kind of figure they can put you in a box and tell you who you are and what your experience is and like know everything about you off of a couple beliefs that you may hold, and there's like zero curiosity. Like nobody really wants to dig in and know, okay, so why do you believe that? Where did that come from? What is some of the things that, we can challenge without, while still being respectful and understanding the humanity behind the person we're attacking on Twitter.
Exactly.
So you said
Exactly.
you've been through the trenches. I feel like there's a lot behind that, and I know there's a lot behind that because you had actually gone through and handwritten some notes to send to me to give me a general idea of what we'd be talking about. And there's a lot of stuff in there. I'm like, wow, that's incredible. First of all, I'm sorry for all that stuff that you've been through.
It's cool.
But maybe if you could take the rest of the audience kind of on a brief journey through the trenches, as you call it.
Sure. Let's see. I won't go through all the trenches because, gee, but I'll go through, some very still very important moments that changed me forever. Um, so I guess let's see. Well, like I mean, I had a good upbringing. My mom, she's great. She's always been my rock through everything. Um, when I was little, I was um, I was a very sensitive kid, as I still am now. But my mom, she's always my rock. My dad usually I mean, he wasn't really around. He is now. He changed. He was an alcoholic for a very long time. So I got to see a lot. I went through a lot. There was a lot of fighting, and I have memories since, believe it or not, like my first memory was when I was 6 months. I believe I was little.
Wow.
My dad was bathing me in the sink.
6 months
But
old.
I
That's
was,
incredible. It's
but
incredible
I always
memory.
remember,
Mm-hmm.
um, him not really working. It was just like every now and then he'll hold a job, and he was just like mainly like drinking it up. And my mom, she was always the one holding it down. So I look up to her so much. She has polio, by the way, and she'd had it since she was 2. So even through that, through her pain, she's still at it. She's still at it, and she is 72. Nope, no. 68. I'm sorry, my dad's 72.
Ah, gotcha.
She's
So
68.
so what is walk me through the symptoms of polio? Like what kind of stuff is she dealing with? I'm not very familiar with that
Um,
particular affliction.
with her, it affected her. It's like a muscle degenerative disease. So her left leg is basically it doesn't have any muscle. So she's always had to walk with crutches, and she's always in pain. She hardly takes any pain pills. Um, and she goes at it. She doesn't complain, so she gets pissed off when like everyone else gets, like my dad. When anybody else complains, except for me. I'm her little bird. So
All right. And
yeah,
your dad's been drinking as long as, or he was a drinker, an alcoholic, or just
yeah,
drinker, heavy
so it's
drinker.
a really bad one. He would drink, I think, a quart of tequila,
Mm-hmm.
the Jose Cuervo. Um, and he would just come home or not come home like for days. And that, I mean, like that really hurt as a child because you feel abandoned. And then seeing your mom, you just feel bad. And when he would come home, it was just chaotic, and you wanted him to stay, but like he was being a dick. So it's like, maybe you should just. Um, so it did bother me, and it did affect me for a while. Um, but I guess in my family, or um, I don't know if it's just in my family or in Hispanic community, we just kind of like shovel dirt over it and like, oh well, just move on.
I
Um,
certainly don't think that's a unique characteristic of the Hispanic community. It seems to be coming up more and more frequently as I speak with people. Um, and,
the
and
human race.
and it's not only that the issues get swept under the rug. It's that lies get told about those issues, and whole different storylines and narratives get spun out of it. Complete lies about your past that you're like, oh wow, I did not even realize that I was telling myself that, or I had some kind of limiting belief that was keeping me from being able to achieve X, and it was all because it's like there's so much more to it than just, oh, there's an issue, let's not talk about it. Like that's just the surface level.
We were never taught. That's one of the main things that like we should be taught in school. That's like a core, like confronting your issues, learning how to be a person.
Wait, why in school? Why wouldn't you seek that from your parents? That seems more like
well,
a parental thing to teach.
I did, but I think like because I mean some parents, I mean they're just not ready. My dad wasn't ready like to be a parent, that's for sure. My mom tried to teach me as best as she could and stuff, but I think that it would be a lot beneficial to have something like that, touch on it in school, or how to deal with things, just the core values. And
that strikes me a little funny that you would count on the state to teach you some stuff, especially.
Well, not the state as it is right now.
Yeah.
Not the state, like a completely restructured, like
Okay, all right. I still kind of reserve the idea that it needs to be the parents teaching that, but
absolutely.
Let me ask you this: how old were your parents when they had you then?
Older, excuse me. My mom was 28. My dad was he was 8 years older.
Oh, okay.
He was little.
Yeah. Wait, you said your mom was 68 and your dad was 72?
No, right now, yeah. But my mom was, when she had me, she was 28.
And your dad was 32 then, right?
Yeah.
That'd be 4 years older, yes?
No. He was 8 years old. I can't do math. I hate math.
So he's got. If he was 8 years older then, he's 8 years older now.
Yeah.
that doesn't change. At any rate, so she's 28. He's roughly 8 years older, so whatever amount of years older. And you said they weren't ready to have kids. Is that?
My mom was ready. My dad wasn't.
Your mom was ready. Your dad wasn't. And when did they get? Were they already married before they had you? Or are you like an only child?
Yeah. Yeah, they were already married. My dad had two kids prior.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any communication with him until recently, actually.
Okay. Wait a minute now. So how old was your mom when they how old was your mom, or how long would you say they were married before they had you?
They were married for 4 years.
4 years,
I believe. Yeah,
okay.
I think. I'm really bad with numbers, so.
And you are your mom's only child?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your mom at 24 roughly.
28.
You said she was 28. Sure. She was 28 when she had you, but at roughly age 24, she meets this guy who's already got 2 kids, who is an alcoholic, who has no contact with those children, and she said, "Yeah, this would be a great idea."
Exactly.
Like walk me through that.
I don't know. I ask her that all the time.
And what did she say?
Nothing. She's just kind of like, and she knows, like, I mean, I try not to berate her too much, because I mean, that's kind of like, Mom, like, your life, you just wasted it. But like, I mean, growing up, I saw so much, and I would even tell her when I was little, like, why don't you just leave? Like a little.
Right. And what'd she say when you said that?
She's no. Like,
she's Catholic?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that kind of explains a lot, actually. Does she tend to fall back on that Catholic belief system as a reason why she stayed and dealt with that?
Think so. I think in that realm, yes. She's changed a lot. She's more agnostic now. But when it comes to things that she, I guess, mistakes or what have you, and it was a different time back then too. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right with that. I never thought of it that way.
Not that different. not that different. Yeah, that's incredible. I'm sitting there thinking about the whole series of decisions that would have to happen in order for me to choose a spouse who's got this number of red flags,
Right?
and
Yeah.
for me to say, yeah, I'll definitely put a finger. I mean, put a ring on that finger. Sure, yeah, you can marry me. I'll have your baby, and we'll raise a little girl together, and I'll put up
Mhm.
with you. Like, there's like, I'm sitting there thinking, what would have to be the series of dominoes that would lead up to that? Like, where were I'm sitting there trying to figure out
Where was she at? Like,
yeah, what was going through her mind at the time? Where was her community around her stopping her? He must have been a pretty good looking dude, or what's you ever seen old pictures of, like,
oh, she,
what did he have? Did he have a really good job, or was he making a lot of money? Was he?
I don't know. I don't know if he schmoozed her. I haven't really asked her, like, but no, he didn't come from money. He didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think you know what he tends to, and even still now, like he'll he'll spin stories like, and it's not like he'll call his family and he'll tell them a completely different story than like what I just witnessed or what like I was there to see, and like, why are you lying to them? So I'm pretty sure that that has always been um uh active in his dealings with people. So he's that's probably what happened. She got bamboozled. I don't know.
She got bamboozled. That's interesting.
She let herself.
I like how, yeah, and I've had this almost to a man. Every single person I've talked to about this, when it comes to talking about their mom, it's like she's like this perfect person, this angel. She's awesome, and like she's just a leaf blowing in the wind, dealing with things as they come, and like. My dad was just this thing put on her that she had to deal with, and had to, like, no, she made a decision.
Honestly, mine is though. Like, and I'm not just saying that because, like, mom. But I really do feel that she's still dealing with it. And
Right. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, like, what like what is it that goes through her mind that makes her think that maybe
she
she didn't,
deserves that.
like, she didn't have a choice in the matter. Like,
I don't know.
this
I,
seems like pretty important conversations to be having with your parents too, and
well, yeah, I've tried with my mom.
yeah.
And I know, ugh, I hope my dad's not here because I don't want him to hear this, but I know for a fact that she's always talking about this gentleman that she was a very, very attractive young lady. She still is, but she's pretty hot as like when she was younger.
I mean,
Um,
if looking at
people,
you is any consolation, then I can definitely see where you would have got. I understand. I agree.
well, thank you. But my mom was a knockout, and she dated she worked in the medical field, so
Hmm.
she dated doctors and um whatever people, attractive people, um people that had a future and could take care of her and stuff. And she was dating this one gentleman who she really loved, and she still talks about him to this day. So I think he actually ended up dying. It was a motorcycle accident, and while they were together, and since she still talks about him, I believe that's probably like, that one person that she might have that she saw herself with, that you know. And I don't know if she kind of lost her will after that. But
So you're telling me that she is working a really decent job, making decent money in the medical industry, yeah, and is dating doctors. Like, she's that good looking, and the best she could do was
she
an
was living the
alcoholic
dream.
with a single absentee father
Well, yeah, yeah, exactly. After
with a
that guy
drinking
died,
problem.
like, I guess I don't know, maybe she like lost it or something. Maybe
Yeah.
she was just like, maybe she couldn't open her heart up to anybody
I mean,
except
we can
Catholic.
speculate, but until you can sit down and get your mom to actually talk about it, I don't think you're just guessing at this point.
Right?
Yeah. I would be more
That's
concerned for
number
you.
one.
Far as you're concerned, I'd be more concerned that you're trying to have these. You say you're trying to have these conversations with her, and whenever you bring up the subject, she's like, I don't want to talk about it. Or what does she do? Like
Yeah,
just change the
she's like,
subject or?
well, she's like, it is what it is, basically. Like, oh, it's just your father. And I don't know. I mean, you got to feel bad for that. She deserves so much better. Um, and I hate to say, like, I know there's millions of women like that that just settle, or that don't think that they deserve any better for whatever reason, and they end up with some jerk, and it just
They end up with such passive language.
um they choose to be with
So
they choose somebody that's not for them.
let me ask you:
That's
have you ever seen a what you would consider a successful relationship, or have you ever had that modeled for you? Have you seen anybody that's had what to you looks like a really good relationship that you can?
well, I mean, everything, a lot of things look good on the surface. So
Well,
yes,
I mean,
but I
besides
know,
what you,
no.
besides the mind reading, I mean, just from what you, from the people that have been around you in your life, have you ever seen a
There's
couple that?
only been one of my best friends, Melanie. She actually, well, I won't throw that out there, but she ended up, she chose, she married a very, just somebody that just she coalesced with so beautifully. And it was in, she came into town and I was like, I don't know about this guy because she's my best friend. I'm like, you vet them and stuff and try to gauge them. But they were phenomenal together. And I was like, I want that. That is exactly what I want. And I don't know, they're, behind the doors or behind closed doors or what have you, but that definitely stuck out as that is exactly what I want. Like,
Wow.
without a doubt.
You feel like you have that kind of relationship currently?
Currently, it's a work in progress, but yeah, I know I've met my one. It's it's we've been working on it. We're different people. It's yin and yang, but we're also very the same. We're very alike.
That was the most
However,
interesting.
I'm more laid back, and she's very like she has to have her ducks in a row. So
Yeah,
we're kind of dealing with that right now, but she's amazing. That's the one that I want to
that was the
end up
most
with,
interesting response.
without a doubt.
That was probably the most interesting diplomatic response I've ever seen in my entire life.
It's true. It's true.
Oh wow. No, that was a really interesting response. Very diplomatic. Very, yeah, it's great. We're working on it, and we're doing. It's it's
Well,
like you told me absolutely nothing in that response.
it's truth. It's a truth. I mean, that's where we're at right now. Like she's the love of my life, without a doubt.
So
I,
what do you love about her?
ev- everything, even the
Come
bad
on,
things, even the bad things. Like
come on.
she drives me crazy sometimes, but in that, like she's driving me crazy for a reason because I need to fix shit within myself,
Sure,
and like
sure.
I notice, like she causes me to just see myself for what I'm worth, and like, hey, like I need to fix my shit. I need to grow up. I need to mature, or what have you, and vice versa. We have a lot of stuff to work on individually, but that's absolutely who I absolutely want to be with.
That's
She's
some super vague stuff. Super vague
she's
stuff.
amazing.
What kind of values does she espouse that you really admire in her?
We have the same values. Family. She's really big on family. She has a huge work ethic, like, and I don't, unfortunately. So I'm learning a lot from her. But whatever she does it 120%, like with all of her heart,
Mm-hmm.
and she'll make sure that it's perfect, and it's amazing to watch. That's why I'm like, she has to have all her ducks in a row, but and that's kind of hard for me because like my ducks are kind of like, well, I'll wrangle them and stuff. I'll try, but as long as they're in the vicinity, I'm cool. But hers, like, she's so like uniform. The way she runs her life is so beautifully, and it seems effortless.
Is it a far reach for me to say that you kind of took on some of your dad's characteristics in that regard, and
In that
she
regard,
is kind
yes.
of like your mom in this other regard?
Um, in that regard, I always tell her like, you and my mom are like because my mom's like she has to have all her ducks in a row. She freaks out. And I'm like, Mom, just chill. I'm just a hippie. I'm like, just relax, like everything. Don't worry, like everything will unfold. But
Yeah, I guess the reason I was asking is because when you described her, your is she girlfriend right now or wife?
yeah, no, she's my girlfriend as
Girlfriend.
of yeah,
Okay.
she
So you
my life.
described your girlfriend in very much the same way you described your mom. You could probably take the exact same sound clip and and just switch them,
Right.
and you'd probably have the exact same person. So I was just curious if that's kind of what's going on there. Um,
I've definitely thought about that. And yeah, unfortunately, because I don't know, because my childhood was just like kind of, one person was just like, yeah, we're gonna do whatever I want, and my mom was just like, keep it going, like just everything's gonna be okay.
right.
Like I was just like kind of in the middle, and I am still kind of in the middle, so I'm trying to get out of there. But excuse me,
What do you mean by still in the middle?
just trying to mature. I mean, I mean, like I said earlier, it's difficult to, no one knows what they're doing. We're just kind of going along like the human experience. Um, we have, we have situations, we have, um, circumstances that we can deal with and we get over and okay, like we learn how to navigate around them and we'll put that into our memory bank and like, well, okay, now I know how to do this. Um, but because I don't know, and I'm
Sure.
not trying to blame them,
Yeah, that's some pretty
or blame my
basic.
childhood because I'm really trying to do this, like, you know, as
Right,
an
right. Yeah.
adult.
So that's
But
what that's
it
what I
would have
want
been
to.
cool to have that foundation from both sides.
I got you. I do want to be clear. When I have these conversations, I'm not trying to necessarily blame the parents for every wrong and every woe in your life necessarily. It's just more of a matter of figuring out
Oh no, I
what's
totally,
going
I'm
on.
exactly like you too. I ask questions like,
Yeah.
don't even, you're fine.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily trying to blame your parents because at some point, you do have to take responsibility, and
Hmm.
life isn't just something that just happens to you. It's something that you need to take control of, and I very much believe that. And I'm just wondering what do you think you're doing right now in that general direction? Like, what do you feel like you're taking control of versus what do you feel like is just kind of happening to you?
Um,
Like,
well,
which way are
I
you
guess
going
if
right
I
now?
start up, I guess like, uh, I guess I'll just start with the whole like my drug story. I used a lot of after when I went to college. Um, when I was in high school, I was so straight edge. I was like A student. I graduated top 10%. I was like in a basketball team. I was a jock, and it was fun. But when I went away to college to Austin. Woo! Like my dad was always very controlling. So when I went away, I was like, hey, like all bets are off. I just went nuts, and I discovered like the rave scene. Um, oh, my battery. I discovered the rave scene. I discovered, people that not like people that cared, but like a pseudo care, I guess. Um, and I missed my parents, and I just missed home. So I just wanted that, that love, like a gang. I just wanted that love to feel it, and like I got into drugs because ecstasy in particular, and weed. Um,
So kind of you
later
finally
other
found
things.
some people you felt like you could connect with on some level,
Oh yeah,
and you were
and
looking
also like
for.
the substances and drinking a lot, which thanks Dad, but um, it numbed everything. It numbed like my missing my folks here. Like it numbed the responsibility that I felt like I had to have now. That was just like now you have to like live life, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to live life. So and it was just putting on. putting it off for a while. Um, and I just wanted to feel good, and that's what I was chasing for a while.
Boy, you just lockstep in line with what your dad was doing, huh?
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
do you get along with him? Is you have
Oh
a good
no,
relationship, or is it kind of a very adversarial type relationship?
it's at it's an adversary. I try. Well, I try. You know, when I was five, I was remembering, 5 years old. I sat him down. I was a weird kid. I sat him down with like a little pen and pad, and I was like, Dad, like, when did you start drinking? Why do you drink? Like, I started asking him all these like weird psychological questions because I wanted to know. Because it was hurting me and my mom, and I wanted to help him. Um, which I guess kind of lends credibility to what I'm trying to do now. I guess it's always been in my nature, but I
How
yeah.
how'd that go? Like, what happened after you asked him that?
Oh, he told me no, I don't drink. Like,
Wait, what?
you you told me dinosaurs don't exist. Like I know, but yeah. I mean, I always try to help, and I always try to get close to him and um try to know who he is. I feel like and he still talks to other people more than me. I don't know why. I think he sees it himself. I think he sees his mistakes in me, like what he could have done better. Um, and I think it really affects him. I don't know.
And you said he was controlling. Like, care to go into
It's
that a little bit
true.
more?
Oh man.
Because it kind of seems a little hypocritical, don't you think? Somebody who isn't even in the life of his other two children, makes these shitty
Uh,
decisions, and he wants to
mm,
control everybody else,
absolutely.
and everybody else
Um,
except himself.
yeah. You're absolutely right, and I don't. He's got a lot of deep rooted issues. Um,
You
I
think?
think because he doesn't have control over himself, so he has to have control over something or other people in order to for him to feel like you know worthy. I don't like he has a purpose. Um, but yeah, he was always listening in my calls, looking in through my stuff. Even like when I first moved back here after a failed relationship, he would be like stuff would be moved around in my room. Um, I noticed that he would go through my drawers. Um, he would go through my mail. It was just like benign mail, not even like just like bills. And there's no reason for that. My mom too, she told me that he would be controlling over her too, but why he would be controlling over your daughter, in that respect, that's weird. Relationship
What's he
wise, when
what is he scared is going to happen? Like, what does he think he's going to find?
I have no idea.
Like, what is
I
he
don't
looking? What's he looking for?
know. She's a prostitute. I knew it. I don't know. I have no idea. And like I've asked him like
Like, I'm seriously trying to imagine. Like, I'm
we've
going through
lived
my
for
mind.
years. I
What?
don't know.
Like he's going through your stuff, and he's trying to dig in your phone records and everything. Like when he finds something, what's the next step? What is he gonna do? What do you think he would do if he did find something?
I I have no idea. I don't know. I think he's nuts. I don't know.
That's crazy.
Honestly, I have
That's
no
crazy. And
idea.
and and your only
So
option was to move back in the house with that.
at that time, yes.
How long ago was this?
Um, I had gotten robbed um by somebody that I was dating
I'm sorry,
because
you got robbed.
I too trusted, the wrong person. Like many people do. But yeah, I got robbed at my own apartment, brand new car. Um, and she was a hacker, so she all of a sudden one day my debit card went my ATM card went missing, and she was even helping me look for it like a weirdo. And 3 days later, she concocted this weird fight, which I won't go into because it's just weird. It involved another guy. She wanted a threesome, and I was like, no, that's gross. And I was, and she
Not
was like,
into the D,
yeah,
huh?
whatever. She punched me, and then like that was the end of
Oh my
it.
God.
I guess I did get into it.
You're
Um,
totally not into the D, huh?
no. So, God, I hope my girlfriend doesn't see this. So, so I went to the bank later that day because I had to go to work, and then I went to the bank. Like, you know what? I need to cancel my card because, it's missing.
Right.
So I was like, just how much is left in it? And the lady, she left me $100
Oh,
out
that was
of
very kind.
right thing. Thank you, ma'am. But she stole over total with because she stole my clothes as well. Oh God, she stole clothes, shoes. She had access to my. I guess she made a key. She had access to my apartment. She stole my clothes. She stole my shoes. She stole chicken from my freaking freezer. She was nuts.
So,
Not only that, but like the money, and I had to move back. I mean, I had to give the car back.
all
I
right.
had
Let
to
me
move
ask.
it.
Okay, so where was your super controlling dad in this situation? Like, where was he at? Like, and your mom,
Well,
this rock that's supposed to be your everything. Where was she at in this whole thing? Like, why did they not know what was going on?
I didn't know what was going on. Like until it happened, I didn't know that this girl was a douchebag. She was a con artist.
Yeah.
Um, and I didn't know until until I actually spoke with a representative from the bank what had happened. And I pressed charges and what have you, but nothing came of
And there
it.
was
Thank you.
no red flags or anything that
Well, except for the whole Santeria or whatever I was telling you about earlier, but I was like,
yeah.
you know what? I'm an open-minded person. What to each his own. But absolutely not. Like I didn't. She said she had mentioned she was a hacker, but I mean like
Yeah, and it's not like you were necessarily prepared to recognize red flags or to even be like you almost it almost
exactly.
became normal the red flags in your own household. You just kind of
It is
normalized
yeah,
it.
that's true. And now like if I will run,
I'm
I
recording.
know. I think I pretty much know most red flags, but and that's what I warn other people about them too. But yeah, at that time, and then also because I would never do that. I would never steal from anybody. And so if they let you into their house, they're nice to you. Like I wouldn't. That's the last thing that I would do. Like that's to me, that's just so low. So I
Gosh.
never thought that somebody would sink that low to do that to me.
So what if okay, you didn't see any red flags or you were completely oblivious to any possibility that this girl was going to do any of this shit to you. What makes you think that your current girlfriend isn't
Oh
harboring or
no,
hiding some kind
no,
of?
no,
I mean,
no.
that's what I'm wondering. What have you done? What have you done in the interim to kind of try to bridge that gap to maybe
That,
arm yourself with better information and better a radar for this kind of thing?
oh well, yeah. Well, okay. Going back, I did kind of. I guess I did see some red flags. I mean, I knew she wasn't the other girl. She wasn't good for me, but she was she was very attractive, so I gave her a chance. Um, I should not have let her in the house, obviously.
I've never heard of
However,
anybody just ignoring people's values because they were attractive. That's a whole new
well,
phenomenon. Maybe we
it's
should
not.
record this.
It wasn't because she didn't show me her values at that time. It was just something that I felt
Right.
like within me. Like I'm very. I go off of vibes and stuff. So I should have listened to that. And that's something that I definitely have been paying attention to since then. Like
Oh,
she like
like
stopped the
your
shit.
gut was telling you that something wasn't
Oh
right
yeah.
here, and you're like, oh, she's really cute. It'll be fine. I'll just
Mm.
yeah.
Like
And now you're
like
like
honestly the way I was thinking like, oh, this is just gonna be for a little bit. And yeah, it was, but like it was
not on your terms.
okay. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. But
And did you? I don't suppose you even talked to your parents about this girl, or did they even ask you about her? Were they curious
I
about?
told them straight up, yeah. My parents know.
Not after it all happened. I'm talking about when you first met and you're starting to hang
Yes.
out. And, there was open lines of
Yeah, it
communication
only
there.
took literally was 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Three
Oh,
weeks
three
going
weeks. Wow,
into
and
it.
all this happened. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it wasn't like, she conned me for a long time. It was like, it was still like that phase where you're just like moonstruck.
Little infatuation, a little bit of like,
And like it builds and builds, and she's like just making her move. Smart of
yeah,
her,
yeah, and
but
you fell right for it, didn't you? That's insane, man. That's crazy. I really, really hope that you know this conversation can help other people. Like, I'm sure you still have 1,000 other stories that you could tell, a thousand other trenches that you've been through, and things that
okay.
could be great learning
I didn't even get to
experiences.
the actual trenches.
Oh,
um,
well, maybe we should dig into some trenches then. we can maybe we can help, because I guess the theme I'm noticing here is that there needs to be some level of recognition of shitty behavior, like just people that are you know not making good decisions, that are controlling, that are liars, that are trying to manipulate, trying to steal things from you, that
and unfortunately, I mean, just today, actually for the past 3 days, three different friends of mine, they had the same thing, not the same exact thing, but they had gotten stolen from. They had gotten money, their clothes,
oh, they weren't dating
their
your ex, were
identity
they weren't
from
dating your
people
ex,
that
were
they
they?
knew. I'm sorry?
So they weren't dating your ex, were they? Nothing
All
like that.
right. That's the first thing I asked. Actually, that's the first thing that I asked one of them.
I
um,
got you. What you
but
said? You
yeah,
said we hadn't gotten into the trenches yet. Now I'm kind of curious. What do you mean by that? Like
yeah.
like you're telling me the things that we've talked about so far are just not even the
That's
worst of the
light
worst.
stuff, actually. Well, to me,
Yeah,
even before that,
it's
uh,
interesting because you kind of seem kind of blasé about it. Like, oh, it's fine. It happened.
you have to be. I mean, I can't stay mad about it. You learn, you have to learn from it, and I'm in a good place right now, and I didn't even want to take revenge out, quote unquote, on this girl, because after that, I was like, you know what, I had a different point of view. Like, okay, this happened. I should have I should have paid attention to it, to the warning signs. It's not my fault, but like I'll act different next time. I'll pay more attention. And then after that, I just try to build myself up. And yeah, I was depressed because I lost my car and my
Right.
apartment,
So you you
but
can't do all
I
this.
still had a faith that I was like, it's okay. I still saw a silver lining, and I still felt that better things would come, or maybe it was for a reason. That's my whole take on it, and it took a lot. Trust me, because I
Yeah.
was pissed.
But you do know
But
you can't do all this on your own, though, right? I mean, like,
yeah, no, yeah.
tell me you've at least started working on getting a community of trusted friends around you that are willing and able to, you
I
know.
had very few friends, and that's because of the same reason. I, I, That's the thing. Like with me, I would always give my trust 100%. Like here, and I kind of still do for the most part, but um, back then it was just like back when, and I'll get to those trenches are crazy. I would just be like, here, like here's my life. Take my car keys, like go get some beer, whatever. Like an idiot. Um, Take my card, get whatever you
Oh
want,
my god.
and
Oh girl.
that was really stupid. But like I trusted people because like I wasn't in the mindset where like I'm gonna, like, oh, if somebody were to give me something, like I'm gonna fuck them over. Now I know different because there's a lot of shitheads. Um, but I've learned to discern, and I've learned to the first and foremost, you got to take care of your own energy. Like, you have to really pay attention to who you hang out with. If somebody's giving you weird, shitty vibes, and it doesn't even have to be like they're looking at you cockeyed or talking smack to you. If you feel something off, that your energy's just like, like I don't know about this this
Yeah,
kid's
there's something
person.
to be said about that. The old gut feeling. Yeah, I've learned to trust that myself. There's a number of people that when I run into them, I get a gut feeling about them, and the rest of the time, it's like all they do is continue to prove me right. I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm glad I trusted that because I've been able to dodge many bullets that way. Yeah, definitely
Exactly.
trust that gut feeling. Um, in the interest of keeping this a reasonable amount of time for a show, do you want to maybe take us toward some of these deeper trenches that you were alluding to earlier, or
Sure.
it's entirely up to you. I don't want you to say anything that you don't feel
But
comfortable talking
I
about.
probably could have like started with that. I had like notes and sticks and
Yeah,
what.
and I appreciate you writing them down for me
No,
too. That
you're fine.
very
Uh-huh.
helpful.
When I was younger. I was like 22, I believe. I came right back from Austin. I was still in like party mode, but not too crazy. I met somebody, and I used to love the house music scene. And every Wednesdays and Fridays here, it was just like, yeah. And I would still go to work and like, handle my shit and stuff.
Yeah.
And, pop pills here and there, even on Wednesdays. And I would still handle it. But I met somebody that uh, she was just, she was my downfall at that time. Not a good person, very chameleon like. Uh, Maybe it was like my mom and my dad type of thing, but she completely pulled the wool over my eyes. She's very charismatic, and she took me down. Even though I was like already, experimenting with drugs and stuff, it was a very personal type of thing where I would use them to just release and just be happy, and um, I would also use them for to expand my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started using them like recreationally every day, and like hard ones though. I eventually got into cocaine and harder drugs, and it was just a big downfall. My Everybody that had known me, like really close friends, they would always tell me, "You look, you look like you're dying. Like there's no light in your eyes anymore."
Oh wow.
Um, and I'd be like, like I'm fine, I'm fine. But one of my friends back then, he had cried. And I thought that he had cried because I hadn't seen him in a long time. He was happy to see me.
Right.
But later on, he told me that he was crying because he saw how far deep that I had gone, and he didn't see the light in my eyes. He didn't see the soul. And I've always been a soulful person, very happy and jovial, and he saw that it was just completely taken away, just ripped away from me. Um, I ended up, I don't know, that was like a rock bottom for me. Um, I was, couch surfing, sometimes just like living in a car with her. I left my house for about 3 months, and it was during the holidays, and that still hurts. Like, God, like I regret that so much. But yeah, all we were doing is partying, and I would keep partying so I wouldn't feel the pain of um, what I was doing. Like, I knew I was hurting my mom. I'm getting off. Um, but I that's why I kept partying. Um,
So like,
just kept covering up, the shovel and the just kept throwing more dirt over it.
am I understanding that right? That you said, I mean, yes, you're trying to cover up some stuff, but you said you were trying to hurt your mom at this
No,
point,
no, 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 no.
or
I
you said
knew
you
that I
you
was.
were
I
hurting
knew
her,
that I
and
was. I knew that I was. I knew it, but like I didn't want to think about it.
oh,
And I was already
it,
like so deep into it that I was just like I needed it. And beforehand, I didn't. Like I could have a 8 ball there for freaking weeks, and people would be like, "Can I? I'm sorry. Can I talk about this on your show?"
oh, go on.
But
This is uncomfortable
I won't do it
conversations.
anymore, please.
You know my slogan: uncomfortable conversations without a condom.
Yeah, I would have it there for weeks, and or like one time it was like 3 months, and it was just whatever. But when she started coming around, it was like, can I have some? Can I have some? Can I have some?
She
And so like
she
I started doing
wait, she who?
the girl at the time that I had
Oh, right.
yeah. Um, she's a very dark individual. She was the exact opposite of me. She always uh, compared me to the light and her to the dark.
And you were kind of
And she
trying to
was
save her on some level, weren't you?
absolutely
Yeah, very very
always.
much the same way that you took that notebook and sat down with your dad and were trying
Mhm.
to heal him at 5 years old. I imagine it's the same kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I would talk to her. And that's one of the things that first had intrigued me about her because we sat down when I first met her. She was like, we had this really spiritual conversation, and I was like, wow, she really gets it. So maybe there is hope. No, like you can't save everyone, and it's not your job to save everyone. Absolutely not. Like
But you didn't
every,
you didn't know that at the time.
I didn't. I was trying,
Yeah.
but
I've been there. And you can't.
yeah.
And you can't.
Mm.
It's absolutely true, and it's tough, man. I mean, when you sit there and have somebody that you're like, for some reason you've taken it upon yourself to try to save them, and like it just makes you even more depressed. The more you realize, everything I'm doing has no effect. There's absolutely nothing I can do here. It's just making
What
me
is
more and
wrong
more
with
upset.
me?
Yeah,
I
like you're not
think
doing enough. Like I'm already exhausted trying here, and I just can't do enough to try to help you. What the hell's your problem? What's my problem? You know? Yeah, I get it.
taking you down. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and
incredible.
it's I was I don't know, I got really bad.
So
I actually ended up going to a shaman because of her.
I was about to
Uh,
ask you what was your path out of that? Because I know when people hit rock bottom, a lot of times there's like something happens that makes them kind of turn around and decide to walk the other way. What was that for you?
oh, okay. Well, um, after that relationship, as much as I tried to get away, I'm the type of person where like, okay, maybe we can still be friends. And naively, I shouldn't have like that. I shouldn't have been trying to still be friends with her because a lost cause. But I was still trying to help on some level. Um, so I ended up seeing some other person, and the girl, she got upset. She's like, but I love you, and I was like, I just have to do this. Like, it's, I didn't know how else to tell her. I tried setting her up with other people. I tried freaking like, I tried everything to get her like away from me because I knew she was bad for me.
Yeah.
Um, but she was just still there, like a little fly. So I ended up seeing this other girl,
Oh,
and
that just gives me an icky feeling like she's globbing onto you like some kind of leech, like some
yeah,
kind of
it was like a
emotional
black like
mosquito.
goo, like bleh. It
Yeah.
was horrible. And she's literally on my ass all the time. It sucked because we had the same group of friends, and I mean the friends were phenomenal. She just was not. And every single one of her friends was like, "What are you doing with her? You need to get away from her. Like she's gonna bring you down." And she did. But
Wait. So
anyway, so
why didn't you listen to him when they said that? Like,
I don't know, because I was an idiot. I mean, I have no excuse. I was trying to change. I still had hope.
yeah,
I saw that glimmer, like maybe, because there was still some type of a level of humanity in her,
yeah.
but mm, it was all in vain. But I ended up seeing some other person, and I was just not myself at all. I was mean. I was bitchy. Um, like elitist type of. I was not kind, um, not always, and it really bothered me because I mean, like that again. That's not who I wanted to represent.
Almost like
But
you were in a position of power, sort of, and you were trying to control everybody else and get them to live the way you thought they should live,
mm,
or needed them to change to be better people. Uh,
no, no, not at all. I don't even know what it was. I think I was just like I just became an angry, bitchy person. Like I didn't care. Like I was still like drinking and like doing drugs and stuff, and like I was doing my own thing, not even completely inconsiderate to the other, this new person in my life.
Right. No, I'm just trying to get a little better understanding. Go on.
No, yeah, I understand. No worries.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, and so, I mean, she caught on, obviously. So I was like, I need to change because this is BS. And still, like, this other girl's like calling me, and she's still trying to control me. And she's mad because I'm seeing somebody else. I'm like, I'm not with you, you know? Not only that, like, a couple of times, I don't know why it took a couple of times, but twice, she hit me. Like, I saw her one time, and she was really, really drunk, and I forgot what happened, but she ended up like stalking me. And then another time, I hung out with her like an idiot, and in front of her family, there was like this big family brawl, and she ended up stalking me again. And that day, that night, she stalked me because uh, um, she was like, don't you see that I love you? She knocked me down,
What the
and
fuck,
she
man?
it was weird. She knocked me down, and she had a knife in her hand. And
Nothing.
I thought I was done for. I was like, oh shit, like I'm gonna fucking die in this shitty room
Yeah,
with a shitty
nothing.
person.
Nothing says I love you like a slap, a punch,
Right,
a knife. Like nothing. Nothing says it quite like that.
right.
Oh my
Okay,
god.
let's be low. But
What a
yeah,
dark path. What in the world?
she got really crazy, and like her eyes just look different. It's
Yeah, I could care less about her. I'm
really
just
cool.
like
Um, I
I
thought I would die. Honestly, I did. She got on top of me, like she knocked me down. She like straddled me, like on my chest. But and I thought like she's gonna like cut me, like my neck. She ended up cutting herself, her wrist. And I still like to this day, it haunts me. Um, I the feel of like her blood just dripping down. It was warm. It was just so much like on my face, and
oh my
I was
god.
freaking out. Like
Yeah.
I,
Is
I
she
I didn't know what
still?
to do. I didn't know like, oh, can I help you, or like should I just like go? Like what's gonna go on next? Because it seemed like she had just like this superhuman strength. She just kept cutting, and I was freaking out. And I felt bad saying this, but like I punched her, and I just like ran. I ran out of the house.
Wait,
Um,
this girl just threatened you with a knife, slit her own wrist over you. I'm sure we can forgive a punch. Like I'm sure we'll get over that part.
but
Wow,
yeah,
that's.
and
Is she still alive? Is she?
yeah, she's still alive. The weird thing is that she actually got up. She ran after me like, oh, like a zombie. And I got in my car. I was like, huh, huh. I freaking like, got to open the door, and I was like, freaking out. And she came like before I was able to take off. She's like pounding on my windshield. She was trying to like break it, and she still had enough energy to do that. So, and also hang on to as I was taking off. She hung on to my the mirror,
Mm,
and yeah, well, I lost her obviously because I peeled out. But yeah, she's still alive, and
wow.
I was concerned after that. I really was because I mean that's traumatic to see. You don't want somebody to die,
Right.
no matter what you do. But that was that was
Have you?
really she was the cause of a lot of negative energy. That's why I had to go to the shaman. I was like, you know what? I'm angry. Like this isn't me. So one of my friends, and I didn't tell him the exact story. I haven't actually told this whole story to anybody. Um, but I went to one of my friends. He mentioned he knew a shaman, and I was like, let's do it. I've always been intrigued by, um, ancient rituals, spiritual cleansing rituals. So I was totally down. Shaman was so sweet. He was very perceptive, so he knew instantly. He freaking described her to me. He knew what she did. He told me that I had a rip in my aura, which had allowed all that negative energy to come in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I was feeling. And I was like, that's weird because I had always felt like right here, like something fluffy. That that's the only way I can describe it. It was just fluffy, like a fluffy feeling all the time. Any with any change in frequency, vibration, or what have you, like in my surroundings, it was just fluffy right there.
Wow.
So it was
And that kind of thing actually helped you to move
it
on.
was
Was
amazing.
that like a turning point for you, or
It
what
was
happened afterwards? I mean,
the I had 4 sessions. The second session was the most amazing one. He took me into a deep uh I guess hypnotic state, whatever. Like I was so conscious but not really.
wow. And you were
With these
still very willing to give up, give out 100% trust to somebody, huh?
it was different. With me, like spirituality, it's yeah. If I can I knew. I mean, I trusted it. I followed like for once I followed my instincts, and I felt good about it. I and not only that, like I was freaking desperate.
Hmm.
I would never do anything like a limpia with an egg or anything because that's something that's common in the Hispanic culture.
Yeah, I don't know
That
anything about
that
that.
shit freaks me out.
Yeah.
Um, oh, they go over your body like with an egg, and I don't know if they say anything, but like after they do it, the egg's supposed to cleanse any negative energies,
Wait, is that the
and
one where they
they
like?
trap the egg.
Is that the one where they stick the egg in your throat and something? Or is that something
No,
different? I seen something that man. I seen something on something looked like it was a Hispanic something. They took an egg and like did some kind of ritual with smoke and stuff, and then they tied this lady's arms behind her back at a table, and they stuck this whole egg, like down in her throat, and then
up rats. I was like,
like it cracked in her throat, and they started pulling everything out. It was and they threw it, and it was like full of like hair and it was like what in the world? I don't know. It felt like you were
I
starting to
never looked
describe.
that up. That's crazy. I
Yeah.
never knew that.
So
But no,
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that. Go ahead with your.
that gives me something to look up. That's awesome. I'm gonna
No,
try that.
no, it's
But
not.
like,
No, it was not
not
awesome.
awesome, but it's interesting.
Okay,
I like different cultures because I mean, shit's
sure.
weird. But yeah, in the Hispanic culture, you go over yourself with the egg, and then you crack the egg, and if you have negative energy, the egg's supposed to be black,
Hmm.
like when you crack at the yolk.
Right.
I don't know, nah, not to me. I'll do saging, and I'll do you know ancient rituals like Native American. I trust that.
Sure.
Um, even from Peru. This guy was from Peru. It was the most beautiful experience that I've ever had, ever, and it plugged me completely back in to the universe. Like after I think it lasted for about an hour, just like the drums and the whole thing that he took me into. It was like I was not even here. I was having an astral projection. Like my soul went up into space, and I saw my ancestors, and I just felt I didn't feel alone anymore. Um,
Hmm.
it was really beautiful. I felt really protected, and when he took me out of the trance, I was shaking. I know I was shaking through the whole thing because I was doing this. Sober, by the way, completely sober.
Okay.
Um, Shaking, and my eyes, like when I opened my eyes, I knew that they were dilated because I know what that looks like. So my eyes were complete, like I could see everything so clearly. And
Yeah.
again, I was not on any drug at all. I I hadn't had anything to drink, anything. But I felt so plugged in, and I felt so good. I felt energized. Um, I felt powerful, and it all came from the universe. I know, like it was just all energy from the universe, and it was like out with the old, in with the new, and all the new was just universal energy. And I was like, "Thank you, I gotta go. Have a great day." And I just like ran out, and like
So you kind of
I
had this awakening moment, and
yeah, and I was like, "Why did I just run out?" And I didn't even, I had gotten like dropped off there, so I didn't even have my car. So I just like ran out, just like I just ran out. Like I wanted to. experience life and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was ready. So I get outside and I'm like running in the parking lot, and I'm like, wait a minute, like, I came to, like, and I'm still happy, of course, but I'm like, I don't have my car. So I called my then girlfriend. I was like, can you come and pick me up? I'm ready. And I wanted to go back to the guy's house to ask him so many more questions, but
Sure, sure.
I, I, I felt weird just running out. So
So you say this was a major turning point for you,
it
that
was the most beautiful thing. It was
started
the
help
best thing I had ever, that I could have ever done for myself.
and where I hate to fast forward so quickly on you here. I'm just trying to wrap up at this point, but what's your next moves? What's that look like for you? I mean, as far as you've already kind of had all these experiences and all these learning opportunities and whatnot. And you've been awakened, so to speak, and now you're living back with your parents right now, and
Just for
for a bit. And so what's the next? What's coming next for you in life? I guess is the question.
as far as my next
Marriage, kids, moving
my
out,
oh
new
yeah,
job,
definitely.
everything.
I'm gonna marry my girlfriend Christina. Like absolutely. Kids, yes. My goal in life, besides that, obviously, I just want to help people. Like what I've discussed tonight is just the tip of the iceberg because I've gone through so much shitty things where like I've almost died, and like I put myself through those situations. I did that, and I've learned to kind of, I mean, you have to reflect back, and you have to think why. Why did I do this? What do I have to learn from this? And that's the key. You have to learn. There's something that in every experience that will teach you something.
Sure.
Not only for yourself, for your own evolution, but for the sake of others. I mean, you never know who's hurting or who's on the verge of, you know, wanting to leave this earth.
And
And in addition to, as a collective, um, we all have to uh, we all have to realize that everybody goes through a lot of things, and um, I'm not saying that like to me, if I were to see somebody like me like walking down the street, I wouldn't have thought that like, oh, all these things that I had just told you, that would have happened to me.
right.
And like I said, there's so much more, but there's people from all walks of life, and it's right now, it's really pressing to me, and I'm about to be done. Like, oh, the video. I've worked on like 8 different drafts, and I finally have the perfect, I think. And I just want spread love. Like that's what it's all about. Like you can't fight hate with hate. Everybody has some common ground. Nobody has it. Like we've all had. It's hard here. Earth is a
I
very
think.
rough
I,
learning environment.
Sorry to interrupt. I think that's a great note to end on. Just the idea that we, like when you're interacting with people on Twitter and whatnot, and you're having these real surface level, shallow discussion arguments with people. I think it would do people really well to understand that there is, like, all you're seeing there is a very, very, very tiny, minute detail of a person, of a whole person, and
Absolutely.
and for you to be so presumptuous as to attack that person and assume that there's not a whole history behind this person that might have got him to that position. That's incredibly shallow, and it's rude. I mean, it's very disrespectful. And I think if we can have a lot more of that kind of discussion, yeah, we just need to have more of that kind of discussion. Like the conversation you and I just had right here, I think is going to do a lot more for people than any amount of that political crap that we have, that we're always sitting there watching. It's like another real life soap opera, to be honest. I hear people talking about all the details of the Mueller investigation and Peter Strzok getting fired. It's like,
Yeah, but like, how do we rectify it? And the thing is, like, we have to go about things a different way. We cannot keep like fighting the same way that we have been, because it's just gonna lead us to the same shit. We have to be smarter. We have to like we have to feel, like we have to think with our soul, and it has to come from our heart. It has
Yeah.
to come from a place of love,
And-
because there's nothing that's going to dissolve hate better than love.
yeah, and we
That's
need to
what.
have more conversations like this very one right here, because those are the healing ones. Those are the ones that get you to know a person, at least on a much deeper level. Anyway, you know, I feel like just hearing you tell your story right now, I feel like you and I are connected on a much deeper level that a few tweets back and forth would never ever achieve. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
and I feel like, you know, we may have a friendship that'll last for years. You know, we keep in touch and always want to know what's going on with the other one. You know, and
Absolutely.
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that up now. And if anybody else who's watching this wants to come on and tell their story, what you did here is a very brave thing, and I really appreciate that. It takes a special kind of person to be willing to put their heart out there and be vulnerable the way you have been, and I really appreciate that. And if you know anybody, or if anybody else wants to come on and be on here and have these discussions with me, I'd be glad to have you on. Just head over to unframeofmind.com and just hit the button and sign up for the show. You know, just let me know what you think. And if you want to reach out to Vanessa here, I do have her Twitter information on the screen throughout the whole entire show, so you can't miss it. So just make sure to reach out to her and tell her what you think about this episode. And she's she's a fantastic person, very beautiful soul. I thoroughly enjoyed talking with you when we have these different discussions and whatnot. And I really hope that things do continue to get better for you. I think you're on a good path, and I think it's going to be awesome for you.
Thank you.
So,
That really means a lot to me.
All right.
Thank you, Daniel. You're such a beautiful soul too.
Appreciate it.
I'm so grateful for meeting you.
All right. Thanks for coming on.